One last topic. This section was a bit lengthy, I will admit, but we've got one more section here. Effective annual yield or annual percentage yield, APY. What this is it's the simple interest rate that gives the same amount of interest as a compound rate over the same period of time. So if you had something sitting in an account for say 10 years at a certain compound rate, what would have to be the simple interest rate for you to earn the exact same amount? And I just want to kind of go over this paragraph real quick. Many banks compound daily. So when computing the effective annual yield, they use 360 for the number of periods in a year. Because remember, we were averaging each month to be 30 days. So 12 times 30 would be an average 360. To determine the effective annual yield for any interest rate, calculate the amount using the compound interest formula where P is $1. Then subtract $1 from that amount. The difference written as a percent is the effective annual yield. Now, you might be saying, what did you just say? I don't understand any of this. And that's fine. I know sometimes when it's all in words, we don't quite always understand what we're supposed to do. So we are going to jump right into an example. This is going to be the last thing we do for this whole topic of compound interest. And I'm going to show you how we find our APY. So here is an account where everything is at 2% interest compounded quarterly. And remember, the whole point of the APY, the annual percentage yield, is we want to find out if we wanted a simple interest account that's going to give us the same yield as this, 2% compounded quarterly, what would that interest rate have to be for simple interest? And here's how we're going to find that out. Remember and I'm just going to write this down again. You know I love to just keep writing down our formulas. This is our compound interest formula. But what we're looking at here is when we are, let's see, this is just for 1 year. So let me just kind of show you here. So we're going to have A equals, now I'm going to go back real quick. I'm going to scroll up here for a minute and kind of underline something that we just talked about. Right up here. P is $1, okay? So P is $1. So actually I'm going to stay here while I work through this problem. P is $1, just so I can go back up there so you can kind of understand now what it's saying. So P is $1. I'm going to say that probably, 3 times? All right. Our interest rate is 0.02. Compounded quarterly. Remember, that's 4 then times a year. And then it's to the 4 times T, but T is just 1. It's always going to be 1 for this, which makes it a lot nicer. Well, what do we have here? That's just the 1. So remember, 1 times anything is just that's itself, right? 1 times a number equals that number. So we don't even, the 1 times this is just going to give us the parentheses, meaning all I need to do now, and you know what, I'll just work it out so I'm not going to confuse you. So I'll just leave it here just in case. So you're going to take the 0.02 divided by 4, right? And then add 1. What you should get in here is 1.005 to the 4th power. Now you can just do that on your calculator. 1.005 to the 4th power is 1 point, and I'm just going to go around to 4 places. No matter how far it goes, I'm just going to go 4 places every time. That's what I get there. Now we're not done, because now I'm going to go back to the problem and highlight another part. So first we started off with our compound interest formula where P is $1. Then notice what it says. Then subtract $1 from that amount. Your difference then we will write as a percent. So I'm going to go back to the problem and follow what it says. It says subtract $1 from that amount, meaning I'm going to take the 1.0202 and subtract 1, which gives me 0.0202. Write that as a percent, meaning we multiply by 100 so that I can get the percent, which would be 2.02%. So if you wanted the same amount of money to earn as you do here in the compound interest, you would need a simple interest account that has 2.02% interest. All right, let's try one more. Okay, let's try one more now that we kind of worked through that one. Here we're going to look at 3% compounded monthly. We start off with the same thing. P is always 1. We write our percent, so 3% over 12 because it's compounded monthly, and then to the 12 times 1. All right. Now take your 0.03 divided by 12 and then add your 1. And you should see on your calculator 1.0025 to the 12th power. Now on your calculator, take that number to the 12th power. And we get 1.0304. Again, we're just going 4 places of rounding. And the next step is that you subtract 1 from that. You might see the pattern and think, well, I'm just going to skip that part because I know the answer, and I'll just kind of highlight it here. You know the answer is just here, right? But this is just the formality. And so we end up with 0.0304, which as a percent is going to be 3.04%. That is what we call, again, the annual percentage yield. So you would need a simple interest rate at 3.04% to earn the same amount at a 3% compounded monthly. And that's what that means. All right, this ends the whole compound interest topic, and we will start a whole new topic in the next video.